What's happening YouTube? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back with Project TT. And if you don't know what Project TT is, this is the Mark II Audi TT that I bought from a scrapyard. And we've been doing many things with this TT to get it back on the road. One of which is we've done a full service. In the previous video we serviced the DSG gearbox and we also installed a new battery in the key and it now works. Wonderful. But today's jobs are two jobs that I didn't really expect to be doing, and I didn't mention in the video that I did where I reported everything that was wrong with it. When I was servicing the car, I noticed that the driver's side CV boot is split, so that's something we're going to be doing today. I've got a CV boot kit, and I've also noticed at startup the car has got a little bit of belt squeal, so we're going to be replacing the auxiliary belt. We have got a nice new auxiliary belt. This is a Gates belt. It was relatively cheap. I think it was around £9. And I've also got a CV boot kit, which has obviously got a new CV boot in, some new clips, the CV boot grease. Now, this again was relatively cheap. I think I paid around £15 for it. Now, what I will say is I have never changed a CV boot on a car ever. If you follow my previous videos and you follow my other build, which is my Mark II Focus ST, you'll know I have changed the drive shaft, but I didn't. I just removed the drive shaft and put a new one on. This I'm going to try and save the drive shaft and just replace the boot. But like I said, also we're replacing the belt, and I'm hoping this job will be the easier out of the two, and we'll probably do it at the end. It'll be the last job we do. Remove the pull the tensioner out of the way and slip the belt off and put the new one on. I'll show you the old belt that's on the car now. So this belt here is the one that we're going to be replacing. You can see there is a wear mark right down the middle of it, and it just looks a little bit sorry for itself, especially when you compare the new belt at the side of it. This does kind of look a little bit sorry for itself. So this is definitely a job that I think is worthwhile doing. And the CV boot is something we have to do because it won't pass its MOT with a split CV boot. So let's get to it then. Let's get the wheel off, let's get the car in the air, and let's have a look how we're going to tackle this. So as you've seen then, we've got the driver's side wheel off. And if we have a quick look behind here, you can see where the CV boot has split. So I think the best plan of attack, if I'm honest, is I disconnect the drive shaft from the front of the hub. Then I tackle these three bolts here to disconnect the wishbone. And I think just maybe, we'll get enough movement in the hub and the suspension leg to pull it far enough away. So these three bolts are what I need to take off. I think they don't actually look too bad. I think it's had a pair of front arms on it and drop links. The drop links are definitely new. I'm not sure about the front legs. They look quite new to me. The bushes look very good. Yeah, so I think we take the hub nut off the front and we also take these three bolts off it. The drive shaft bolt here is a 27. Now, less than ideal. I've only got a multi-spline socket that big. I think it shouldn't be too tight. It says, oh, it's going. I don't know if that's tighter or looser though. Change the angle. I put a screwdriver in here to stop the brake moving. There she is. I reckon, see, we can and there is our, it's a chunky drive shaft bolt, that, to be fair, but it's there. So next to these three bolts, it's quite, the camera's been a bit of a pain in the ass, but so the 16mm, I put some WD-40 on. Ooh, they're not tight at all. Look at that, 1, 2. I'm just going to crack them off and get the buzz going on. And that should free up the bottom arm. There we go. So the bottom arm is now free from the wishbone. So the next thing we need to do is knock the drive shaft out, which, to be fair, it already looks like it's moving. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to use a drive shaft bolt, a couple of threads, and I'm just going to tap it. coming, that. The drive shaft is now free. Look at that, we are flying. Right, what I've done to give me a little bit of better working space is I've actually disconnected the roll bar and pulled it up out of the way. Now the CV boot on this is actually split the whole way round, like it's completely split, so I'm just going to try and get this CV joint off as a whole, and then I can clean everything up once it's off the car. That's the plan anyway. Like I said, I've never done this before, so we'll see how it goes. Ease of kind of access and to know what I'm looking at. I've removed the CV boot and slid it over, and all I'm doing is I'm choosing the lump on. Boom! There she is. There is one CV joint, and that is obviously the end of our drive shaft. Now, in our kit, we've got new rubbers, we've got new clips, so they can come off as well. And obviously, I need to take off all the old boot. Here, you can see, like I say, it's split all the way around, so obviously that needs to come off as well, that clip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all this up, brake cleaner, because we have got some nice new shiny CV boot grease, CV grease. The actual bearings, they feel alright, they don't feel too bad, to be completely honest with you, but we'll have a proper look in a second. So looking at this, someone's been here before, because that's actually a cable tie. That's not a proper clip. Someone has replaced it with the cable tie. As you can see, it's just snapped. Someone has been here before, clearly. That's clean. Let's clean up the CV joint, sorry. Right, so let's have a bit of an update. You've seen then what I've done is I've now got the CV joint off, which is here. Someone had clearly been in there before, because the inner part of the CV joint, the inner part of the boot was held on by a zip tie. Maybe the clip had slapped and they've just used that, I don't know. The actual, they don't feel to be much play within the joint and the bearings on this, so that's good. This is all our old, obviously, bits of boot that'll be going in the bin. I think our next job is I'm going to clean all this old grease up, because we're putting new grease in. I want to get as much as the old grease out as I can, really. That's the idea anyway. So let's get some brake cleaner. Let's make a coffee as well while we're at it. So let's start a debate in the comment section then, as I'm making my coffee. What do you put in first, the hot water or the milk? Clearly, you just saw me, I put the milk in. What do you do? So while I'm enjoying a quick coffee break and having 5 minutes, you know what I'm going to ask you to do? That's right, make sure you go down, press that subscribe button. I've really enjoyed making videos over the last kind of couple of weeks with this Project TT. I'd love, obviously, to move this on, make a bit of cash and move it on to something else and buy another car to do up. So I can't do that without your support, so please make sure you press that subscribe button. Right, let's get this CV joint cleaned up. So while I had my coffee and we got another car dropped off, don't ask, I've actually had this soaking in some brake cleaner, so I'm going to get it nice and clean. Obviously it's not going to get perfectly clean, but we can get as much of the old grease out as we can. So the reason that I'm doing this then has been, if the CV boot's been split, all the dirt and the grime and the grit of the roll will be stuck in the bearing, which is not going to help the bearing at all. So by cleaning up the bearing like I am doing, it'll give it a little bit longer lifespan. But there you go, that's as clean as I'm probably going to get it. We'll stand that up and let it dry, and we'll go and clean up the end of the drive shaft. So we've got our drive shaft. I'm just gonna give this a bit of a clean down. Right, so there is, obviously we've got a new clip. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but the old clip is there, so let's try and get that off. There we go. So that's the clip removed. Obviously we've got a new one in our kit to put on. I'm just going to clean up the end. I think we're ready to start the reassembly process. So let's get the kit together and let's get it reassembled. So first thing we need to do is the reverse. So we need to get this clip on. Right, one of the hardest things we've ever had to do is get that clip on. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to get the dry shaft seated back in position. Like so. Put the dry shaft bolt back in. I'm going to go and change this belt. So this, yeah, that slips up and slots out of the way. Pull it down. I should and lock the tensioner in place, which should allow me our new one. Seat it on the alternator. So that's now seated in place correctly. So if I get the 17mm spanner again and slip out that, as I lower the tensioner back, we should be good. So that is our new belt. Slip our breather casing back in, and that is the belt, the new belt on the car. Right, so we've pressed on, so the belt's on, the new CV boot's on, we've got the greasing, all the clips are on. The last thing we need to do now is get the wheel back on and get the car on the ground. And this is the last mechanical work, I think, touch wood, I feel I need to do on the car. It's been quite hard. That clip was horrendous, that outside clip, but we've got it on. Yeah, so I'm going to put the under tray back on as well, because hopefully I should not need to do any more mechanical work on this Audi TT. Put the under tray back on, then once the under tray's back on, I'll do a time lapse of me lowering the car down. So with this one, we're ending the video with the bonnet down, and the reason for that is because I feel like, and touch wood, all the mechanical stuff that I've had to do to this car is now done. We've done a full service, we've serviced the gearbox, we've changed all the filters. That's why we're shutting the bonnet, because the mechanical stuff is now done. This journey's not over yet with the TT, because what we've got left to do is sorting out the interior, getting the new tyres installed, and installing the new Apple CarPlay head unit that I bought for this car. So we're not out of the woods yet, we've still got a little bit to do before we get this car ready for its MOT. I'm also waiting for the logbook to arrive, so we've still got a video or so left of work to do. So if you enjoyed this series, thanks very much so far for watching. I'll link the playlist in the description below, and it'll be appearing on the screen now just here, so make sure you click that. Also, a bit further in this corner, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and just down here is the previous video that I did on the Audi TT. Thanks very much for watching. Comment down below what you think so far, like, and remember, please just stay off and press that subscribe button.